Eventually, our temporary compromise is after 4 weeks or so, I will say to John, sweetie, I'm going to break my neck if I try and make the bed. Will you please move your books?
Right.
And then he does. And then it starts over again.
John, I would love for you to just move this pillow right here next to you. And that is, you have stashed a book back there.
Well, it was in the bathroom, and, it's called How to Find Love.
That's important.
Very appropriate.
Hey.
I think that for a lot of people in long-term relationships, when you hit something that is like this, where you have a pattern of being and it keeps happening over and over, a lot of times people make this narrative in their head that this is like a huge problem. How do you address that with people?
Look, you are in a different body than me. You have a different brain than me. So there are inevitably going to be personality differences and lifestyle differences that erupt into conflict every now and then. It's okay, as long as you learn how to talk about it. Chris, a lot of people want to marry their clone. However, if they did, they would be bored out of their minds.
On paper, this makes sense to me. How we fight matters more than what we fight about. But what does that mean in reality? We asked folks to send in their relationship questions to get advice on how to put principles into practice.
Hi there. My partner wants more sex and I want less. Do you have any advice on how to navigate that? Thanks.
This is absolutely normal. It's almost impossible to find somebody who has exactly your desire in terms of sexual frequency, unless it's your partner wanting sex 4 times a day and you want it once a year, it's probably not a deal breaker.
Yeah, another thing that I would add is that no to sex does not have to end connection. So if one of you wants to have sex and the answer is no, then the next question should be, okay, thanks for telling me you're not in the mood for sex. What are you in the mood for? Should we make popcorn and watch a movie? You want to take a walk? Should we just cuddle? No does not have to end connection. Remember that. What is the biggest mistake that the disasters of relationships make? The answer is that they fight to win, which means somebody has to lose. What do the masters do instead? They fight to understand.
I also wonder how often in your experience, it's a problem in the relationship, but it actually is coming from way before you two have even met. How often are the problems rooted in the past versus the present relationship?
90%. Part of that exercise that we ask couples to do in order to really understand each other more deeply is a series of questions, as I mentioned, that they ask each other. But listen to these questions.
So the first question is, do you have any ethics, beliefs, or values that are part of your position on this issue?
Second question is there any childhood or background history that is a part of your position on this issue?
The third question is, what are all your feelings about this issue?
Another one is, why is this so important to you?
Next, what is your ideal dream here? If you could have the world the way you want it, any way, on this position, what would it look like?
And the last one is there some underlying life purpose or sense of meaning that is related to your position on this issue?
And so conflict becomes an entirely different thing. It's like problem solving together, working out a puzzle together, rather than working against each other. And those questions, those 6 questions, are really powerful 87% of the time.
Aged about their relationship, their marriage.
Well, we wrote a book about this, and it's called The 8 Dates. And the 8 dates really are about those essential conversations, not to get people in opposition about these issues, but really to understand where your partner is coming from. Every marriage is a cross-cultural experience. Even if people come from the same ethnic group, the same racial group, the same part of the country even. They have different ways of creating meaning.
You know, the other thing too that I would suggest is talking, each of you, about your own individual dreams and life purpose. You know, why are you alive today? Why are you giving energy into the world or into yourself or into the relationship? You know, talking about questions that are so deep and so profound. And by the way, congratulations.
My wife and I dated for a long time. We got married almost on our 10-year anniversary. And
Wow.
so, having been together for a decade, I thought, like, surely we have talked about everything. There's not like some sort of new revelation. But these questions that you put together, these are the most common sources of conflict and disagreement in marriage. Do you want to send your kids to public or private school? What would happen if one of you was incapacitated medically? And what I found is that when Molly and I actually sat down and talked through them, there were so many that we had never had an explicit conversation about, right? Like, these are really tough questions.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're also not things that you just like chat about over pizza normally.
Right, yeah.
And
Right.
And I think the big revelation for me in going through those questions that you two put together was that it wasn't that we always got to a definitive answer, but it was that we got a lot of practice at how to talk about
Right.
the issues
That's the
together.
point.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. You know, so many people believe in the myth that you have to be compatible in order to have a good relationship. And it's not really about kind of the content of those discussions. It's more about how do you talk about them.
Hello, Dr. John, Dr. Julie. People say that a healthy relationship requires setting boundaries, which makes sense. So how do you set these boundaries with your spouse, and what happens when these boundaries are crossed, especially when you have kids that you can't break away from?
A lot of times when people talk about boundaries, it's a way of stopping discussion on an issue. It's like saying, okay, this is who I am, and there's no debating this. And the problem with that is that sort of all or none approach to conflict doesn't allow for any flexibility. All of our research shows that relationships succeed by being interdependent, not separate and independent.
If you have different preferences, talking that through and really understanding where the other person is coming from is crucial to connection. If your partner loves to drive 100 miles an hour, like yours truly, and your partner doesn't like that, you have a choice to either respect what your partner's needs are or put your needs above theirs. So we would hope that you would probably choose to give your partner the benefit of the doubt. What really matters is that each of you feels comfortable saying what you need, and then you're giving your partner the choice.
One of the concepts that you both became really well known for was this idea of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse conversation. For people who aren't familiar, can you just walk us through what those are?
Yeah, you know, what we found initially was that there were 4 negative things that people did, particularly people who got divorced on average 6.2 years after the wedding. And these 4 things were the way they started talking about a conflict. The first was criticism, which is stating the problem as a defect in the partner's personality. You know, our problem is that you're, thoughtless and unkind. Defensiveness, the second one. A normal reaction to criticism, say, counterattacking. You're not so perfect, here's what's wrong with you. Contempt, which is an escalation of criticism with a tone of superiority, like sarcasm does that. Really an insulting, superior air to the criticism. And finally, stonewalling, which is really emotional withdrawal from the interaction, just tuning out.
And Julie, can a couple come back from experiencing those?
Sure. We can come back when we know the alternatives. Most people haven't had the perfect relationship in front of them to role model after. When people have the alternatives, they grab hold of them like a sponge, soak them up, and then try to practice them.
I have an invention. And it's this notebook I keep in my back pocket. And when Julie says the 4 dreaded words, we need to talk, I whip out my notebook, and I get my pen out and I say, okay, I'm listening. Talk to me. And I write down what she says. And if I'm feeling defensive, I just keep writing. I slow her down so I can write every word. And as I'm writing, I kind of go, oh, that's a good point. Interesting. Oh. So I stay calm and less defensive.
You know how many of these he has?
Yeah,
he has like 50 of them, and guess where they are? On top of his bureau.
I was going to say, if there's one thing I've learned about John is that from any possible place around you or on your body, you might pull out a book of some kind.
Yeah, you got to be able to reach the resources.
Because, just my honest reaction to you naming the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is I've done that, and I've done that, and I can remember a time when I did that one, and that one.
We all have. Go to sleep, I think about, isn't it incredible that I've got this person next to me? How cool is that?
Me too.
It's so precious,
Yeah.
waking up next to him. And so never, never, never taking life for granted.
I was on mute there. I hope everybody was able to see and hear that clearly and enjoy it. If you took physical notes or mental notes, fantastic. So hold those thoughts. Remember what we discovered in the notes about the men's only meeting this past Sunday, that video. And now I'm going to read you the results of a study that was produced. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm going to kind of bounce around and hit some numbers. Study was done by a United States-based nonprofit called Equimundo. They are an international research firm engaged to study men and boys as allies in gender equality. So basically, they're doing what a lot of people are doing these days, and that is looking at the situation with young men. In this particular case, they studied 2,000 men and women between the ages of 18 and 45, relationship-based study to kind of figure out why these people don't like each other, at least enough to get married. So just some numbers from this study of 2,000 men and women. 62% of men believe that women have too many expectations of how men should be in relationships. Meanwhile, 44% of men remain resistant to change, agreeing that they would have to change too much about themselves in order to make a serious relationship work long term. Another 41% of men, this is between 18 and 45, believed that having a relationship was too big a financial commitment. I'm going to skip down a little bit. 15% of men surveyed said they had interacted with an AI or virtual partner. And the question is asked, are men giving up on dating altogether and instead pulling all their demands into digital women who are programmed to behave and speak exactly how they want? Uh, another thing that they discovered from this study is that 40% of these men who were surveyed said they have thought about self-harm or suicide in the 2 weeks prior to the study being done, with more than 2/3 reporting symptoms of anxiety and distress. So that's some pretty strong, weird stuff there. So I just from all of those three things, from our men's conversation this past Sunday to the video you just saw of this couple that's been together for 50 plus years and how they have both dealt with their relationship and how they counsel people to deal with relationships. And then down to this study of 2,000 random people, men and women, and we get those kind of results from them. What can we take from all of that? And especially, let's look at it from this aspect. So we have our community, which of all communities, we would like to say is one of the ideal communities because of our belief system. Quran, Sunnah of the Prophet, language of Imam Muhammad, all of those things. We're not perfect, but I think we're all a part of it because we think this is the best way of life in all aspects. In having that as our way of life, most of us, not all, but most of us are also of the belief that we should be a part of the greater community and work at bringing that greater community into the same type of harmony, or at least search for harmony, that we find within our own faith, which means that we got to interact with them. We have to allow them to see us as models, so on and so forth. Given all that and the issues that we acknowledge that we have and that we know that the rest of the world population has as well, because this is not just a US or Western thing. This is a worldwide thing. Korea and Japan might be the worst countries out there as far as marriage and all that type of thing. What kind of ideas, and especially from any men that are on this Zoom, because we're going to have more men's only meetings, what kind of ideas should we be exploring to take into those meetings as an exchange of ideas to make us better men, better husbands, better potential husbands, and also better leaders in the overall community to get people to be like us as we become these better men? Anybody got any feedback on that? Anything you would like to add? Michael, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
The social environment for healthy relationships, and particularly marriage relationships, is very problematic nowadays. The kind of influences that we are dealing with now, that going back to the mid-60s, let's say, different environment. Marriage relationships are not supported in the business world, where the demographics in terms of how to sell was focused on family. Now they have segmented the family. How do we invite the mother? How do we invite the father? How do we invite the children? to buy our products and merchandise and services. Things have really changed. And most people, because they're just trying to live their life, they're not aware of these dynamics in terms of how the social environment has really changed and is very oppressive.
You can open my microphone.
It's open.
Muhammad Sharif, it's open. Just hold your thought there. We're going to get to you next. Your microphone's open though.
So, yes. We have a situation where the last time I looked, the Muslim population was having the same difficulties as everyone else in terms of maintaining the marriage relationship. The invitation is less focused on the stability of the family life and the stability of the community life. Things have just changed so, and most of the people don't know how to deal with these changes. Lastly, yes.
I want you to continue, but I got a quick question for you, right? Because everything you're saying, there's a lot of truth in it. So here's my little question. We, to a certain extent, attempt to, even though it's very, as you say, it's very hard, but we attempt to and fashion ourselves as almost living in this little bubble of being IWDM community. We have certain things and that we practice, certain things that we do. We have a certain way that we talk, language that we use, all these things. And what you're telling me right now is that protective shell doesn't hold up to pressure. Yes. If you're pressure testing it, it's failed as a pressure test.
Yes.
It needs repair. It needs reinvention, whatever.
Yes.
Am I somewhat on track?
You're right on track.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just need to get that clear in my head.
It's a lack of self-awareness that it's just like, I use this example sometimes. It's just like in the church. I've been saved. The devil don't give a damn you've been saved. The devil knew you before you were saved. Those influences that seek to take us down in terms of our humanity, they don't care about your professions.
Right.
They have to test it. And
right.
A lot of times we come up wanting, because
right.
the reality is, it's like the Creator says in the Quran, talking to believing men and women now, why do you say what you don't do?
Mm-hmm.
You're not measuring up. It's not, the consistency is not there. And you need to be aware that it's not there. You're not what you think you are, by virtue of how your deeds measure up to your profession. Yes. So I'll stop with that.
Okay. Muhammad Sharif, brother.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Here's what, brother Edward, you were reading from the notes, right?
Got them right here, word for word.
The notes are out there. Anyone can get the notes and read the summary. The summary, they call it.
Correct.
See, my question was, I was on another call, and I got on the call late.
Mm-hmm.
And someone made a statement about some colored people's time or something like that. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to be disrespectful to the person. So my question was, the Muslim Journal call has been on every Sunday at 12 noon for just about 2 years now, trying to help increase the circulation of the Muslim Journal, all that. for over 2 years. So my first question was, why would whoever did it, why did they schedule that at the same time that the Muslim Journal call was born? For almost 2 years. Who scheduled that, and why would they schedule it at the same time? When they knew a lot of people that participate in the Muslim Journal, trying to increase the Muslim Journal, trying to get distributed, all of that, why would they come on and sit up at the same time? See, that was not a original question. Why would they do that? Who did it, and why did they do it? Knowing that
Okay.
this time, when a lot of people come on Muslim Journal call at 2 o'clock, they wasn't gonna get on this call at the same time.
Right.
So that's my question: who did it, and why they schedule at the same time?
I would, if you're asking me to answer that question, I will say this. I will say this. Let me say this real quick, because I am a part of a group, Graceline Community, that every Sunday morning. Hold
That's
on,
not
let me
what I'm
finish.
talking about.
I know. Let me finish real quick though, and I'll tell you why I can't be upset with somebody. Every Sunday morning we meet at 10 o'clock Eastern time. At the very same time that our meeting starts on Sunday morning, Sister Fitra's program starts.
I'm on there every Sunday.
And she was in existence long before we started Graceline Community. I think. I'm pretty sure she was.
I'd be on there every Sunday.
That's great. Right. So what I'm saying is sometimes there's simply no way to avoid there being a conflict. That this is the best time that's available for you to do what you're trying to do. So I don't think there was any wrongful intent in scheduling that men's only meeting at that time. It was the first time it's ever happened. It was probably very difficult to pull everybody together who was in the planning of it to get them to agree on a time that also suited them. And let's just look at moving forward if maybe we can have some influence on setting a time that is not in conflict with something that is also very important in our community. Let's look at it that way.
If I look at it that way, then I'll go back to Imam Farrakhan Muhammad. His wife is a strong part of that Muslim Journal effort. Was he not permitted to have a say so and say, honey,
you're gonna have to ask the Imam. Ask Imam Farrakhan.
No, I was going to, but I didn't want to be disrespectful.
Okay, then don't ask. Just wait for the next meeting announcement.
I've already spoke to someone concerning that. I said, when you make the next meeting, make sure that's not in conflict with the time that we have Muslim Journal. I've already voiced that. And if it happens again, that's why I'm letting everybody know that we already told them, schedule at a different time, make it at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, whatever.
You know what, Brother Sharif? I think they'll listen to you. I really and truly believe they'll listen to you. Because I don't see any wrongful intent on their part to diminish anybody else's efforts in the community or anything like that. So I think that they will listen to you, and I think that we'll be able to have another meeting, a series of meetings into the future without there being any conflict, any hurt feelings or toes stepped on or anything. I believe that.
Okay. Thank you for taking my comments.
All the time, brother. Anytime you want to have a say, floor is yours. So any other comments on what we have been discussing tonight as far as relationships, the structural issues that we seem to be having, not just in our community. Don't look at this as being a problem just in our community. This is a worldwide problem. And it's probably a bigger problem in Asian countries than it is here and in our community. And I know we're focused on our community, and rightfully so. But this is an issue that if we're going to be leaders, that we have to look at in the sense of the entire world and where this is going, because people have influence on each other, as little as you may think. Sister Manera, go.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Is this brother's only comments or?
No, you can comment on any of the stuff that we've talked about as far as relationships. I don't know if you saw the video. I don't know if you heard the results of this recent study, any of that.
Okay. No, I have not seen the video, but what I'm going to understand is that we have the answers to the test. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam modeled how to be a good husband. He said he was the best one who treated his wives well. Of those, he was the best. He modeled it. I think that there is a disconnect from us, and he's also a model. He's a model for all of us when it comes to marriage, male and female.
Can I stop you real quickly there? And I'm going to let you continue. Who's the model for being a good wife?
His wives show the wives.
What is that? What is that? Do we have an extrapolation of what it is that they did that made them good wives?
Yes, it is there, and it's in black and white, just as the hadith of the Prophet are in black and white. And from those, there is a guidebook for male and female, along with what is stated to us in the Holy Quran on how to treat each other, how to attain tranquility. We have.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you again real quick, and I'm gonna let you continue again. I'm gonna read you something from this study of 2,000 men and women between the ages of 18 and 45. Some 62% of men believe that women have too many expectations of how men should be in relationships these days. Okay. So here's my question, and you're on the way to answering it, but I want to be very specific. The guidebook for being a wife, where can I pick that up to give it to someone as a gift?
You can give them there are books about our mother Khadijah. May Allah be pleased with her and grant her highest stations of paradise. There are on how she came to be the wife of the Prophet, the attributes she was looking for. Okay. So I have one right in my Kindle on Khadijah. There are so many books on the life of Khadijah and becoming the wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. There are hadiths. There are narratives. You can do an AI search and produce an article on it if you wanted to. I mean, we have the information right at our fingertips.
Are women doing this?
In the application and not
are women doing this? Are women doing these things? And I know that you do the research. You come with the research. You come with books. You come with citations when you have your programs. Are the women in our community that you know of, that you are friends with, that you counsel, that you sit around and have discussions with about relationships and why there isn't marriage and why they're not married, are they reading these books that you mentioned?
Okay, now that's a question that is broad-based, and I haven't done a survey on what they are reading, but I do know this, as a woman, clocked into the DNA of a woman is the nurturing characteristics of motherhood, and nurturing a family and working. It's seen in the works of the women what the women's knowledge base is. It's seen in the works of the women that you see, whether they are raising children or raising children and working, raising children and going to school, working in the community. Okay, you see it in the works and the development of the women. Okay, so looking at that, are the women's the ones that have lost their way?
I would say no,
Okay.
but I will also say, and again, now I'm gonna get a little weak kneed, and I'm gonna jump into Michael Hameen's camp real quick, and I'm gonna say that there are certain societal pressures that and changes in the environment in which we live that have definitely knocked men off their pedestal, and most of the men, well, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of men, especially in the African American community, have not regained their balance.
Yes, so that's because of Western influences. So the answer is to adopt the influences of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The environment that our Prophet lived in was worse than this environment.
I agree, but I'm gonna let me say one other. Let me throw one other thing. Another wrench into the works.
You can't mix the oil and water.
I understand that, but do you think, Sister Manera, do you believe that with these environmental changes, everything that's happened environmentally and socially, so on and so forth, that has knocked men off their pedestal, African American men in particular, off their pedestal, that the support that used to come from the women in our community, that it has been there for the men to help them to regain their standing?
We have done this before. Men need men to help them regain their standing. Men have to support men. Okay. Men have been raised already. So men embracing men, working together to uplift each other is what's needed. We've done this coming out of slavery. Okay. So we've done this before. Okay. Men working together, helping each other get the land that they needed, helping each other cultivate the land, helping each other build houses, supporting each other in business because we were forced to. We've done this before. It's our history. We've already done it before. That's what's missing.
Okay. How about that?
Men instructing men, working with men, coming together with their talents to build, protect, and provide, building schools, churches, institutions.
So in other words, we as men have failed to raise men.
Men, the social connections have been weakened between men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's been a gap there, which is one of the reasons I'm so thrilled about this National Brothers meeting. From what I was told, I asked my son to join the meeting and also to assist Imam Furqan in any way that he could, and he did that. And he said told me the spirit was very high, and people enjoyed this idea of this National Brothers meeting, which shows that it is an answer to some things that are needed as far as men communicating with men and and being with men and looking to produce and to be productive together, to attack issues together. It's definitely needed. And inshallah, this will bring about some positive results. So, and Imam told us this a long time ago, that when men take up their responsibilities and do what Allah has created them to do, it will straighten a woman out.
Well, would you need to? Would you
Well,
need to use that strong a language, or would it
yeah,
simply be a natural thing?
it would be a natural thing because the man has taken his role and the woman doesn't have to try and do both. And it will force the woman back into more of her femininity, you know? So not to point fingers at the man or the woman, but we know that there's an imbalance in our community life through social engineering, a lot of social engineering.
Well, there's some social engineering, but there's also just some give up.
There's some give up from social engineering.
Now, there's just a lot of give up. We have to stop. We have to stop saying my poor baby. There's a lot of give up, period. There are men who give up. They give up. They stop fighting. I know this. I'm around them.
Yes, I'm not denying that, but what I am looking at is that you can see it, Brother Edward, because you study the Holy Quran, because you draw your strength from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which they don't know how to do. Inshallah, that's one of the first models that can be introduced, the correct worship of Allah to our brothers that are lost. They need it so desperately. So and at one point we were all lost, and Allah blessed us and invited us to Al-Islam, to Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, to learn to worship Allah in the right way. Okay, so you have answers that a lot of these brothers don't have, and they're stuck on a wheel and don't know how to get off. And so, inshallah, men need men to help them be men. A woman can't do it for them.
I agree with that. That's what I've been saying for years. Michael, your hand is still up or up again?
It's up again.
Okay.
We've got the statistics of the women ending relationships of marriage, and again, the Muslim divorce statistics are in line with that of the general population. I think we need not only brothers meetings, but we need sisters meetings, because just as the men have been weakened in terms of the environmental influences that challenge us day to day, the women have been weakened as well. We are not the men and women that we were in the 60s and the 50s, and we understood relationships were not something that you just enter into lightly or get out of lightly. This is not the case nowadays,
Right.
Particularly among the younger people, they don't have the tolerance, and I believe because they don't see the value, the social value of marriage. Oftentimes, we're in an environment of nuclear family. That's just that one household. What worked for us and other groups was the traditional family, where my family and her family come together in marriage. Her friends and my friends. It's a package deal. And we don't have that kind of thinking anymore. And because of that, we see all these problematic issues. So I think not only do the men need to meet, the women need to meet as well and address the issue.
We are scheduling the meeting for the women as well. Yeah,
okay,
so
Sister Khalita's. We're like 2 minutes before Michael's program starts, and Sister Khalita Akbar has her hand up.
Okay,
So
assalamu alaikum,
encourage.
everyone.
Wa
Thank you
alaikum
so much for
salam.
this topic. I just wanted to remind us that our youth, our young adults have seen a lot of good marriages, but they also have seen a lot of failed marriages. And so they're very cautious. We can't blame them. We took them under our wing. They see a lot of imams and other brothers marry in the masjid 2 or 3, 4 times, and their marriages fail. And so we have to, and I'm speaking from the experience here in Charlotte that I've seen, and I've talked to my children. I have young adult children, and they don't really look for us for advice in that arena. It's too many failed marriages, and then they're looking around and say, well, hey, man, wasn't he just married to this sister and that sister? These are the conversations they're having. So they're very guarded, especially our young sisters, because they know once they start having children, you're not trapped. But I mean, that changes the trajectory in your life, and you're going to have to commit 21 years to raising that child. So let's look at why, take ownership, and how we can move forward and set better examples. And thank you so much, Brother Edward. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Michael, it is 1 minute, and I haven't done any of the public service announcements tonight, so I'm going to offload all of that onto you to talk about all the upcoming events, hopefully with the help of our audience, to remind us of some very important things that are coming up, both for CWSC and for the Muslim Journal, as well as other events. But it is now time for Not Just Talk with Imam Michael Hameen.
Brother Edward, you asked Brother Michael, he may let you continue.
Oh yeah, my brother Michael can do whatever he wants to do.
Right.
It is his time, and I am out of here, except to listen to everybody, what everybody has to say.
Thank you, Edward. Want to get Sister